and every time he touched the ball with the Giants, I was worried he was going to take it to the house. So everything he's doing is not really surprising to me.
Is that why you go against the grain? Like, I mean, at that time when you guys signed him, everyone's like, you know, what are they doing? Nobody pays running backs anymore. You know, has this changed the landscape? Did you feel like you were going against the trend there, or did you just think the trend was wrong?
Maybe sometimes the pendulum swings too much, and it felt like it was swinging too much, and just kind of where it was going with skill guys and receivers, and even tight end market was starting to come up, and it didn't make sense that there was also great players at other positions who kind of weren't getting paid. But I think more so it was this specific player. You know, once free agency opened, we were really aggressive with him. It wasn't like we were dating other people. You know, we were trying to get him from the minute the clock struck 12 and trying to convince him to play in Philly, and through his agent in those conversations, and just really happy that he chose us.
You've invested on both sides of the line of scrimmage for a long time. When in your football career did you develop that philosophy? Why? And is it a strategy that you believe goes throughout football eras regardless of how the game evolves?
Well, I certainly feel like I'm indebted to a lot of people in the National Football League. You know, one sitting right next to me over there, and Jeffrey and his trust in me, and Coach Reed's a big part of that. And when you look at Coach Reed and what we did in Philadelphia, it was always O-line and D-line, and it was an obsessiveness about it, and we won. And so to me, it was very clear that that's where it starts. And you know, most people will say when they want to build a team, it's O-line and D-line, but sometimes you have to show it in your actions. And so it always felt like if our O-line could be better than their D-line, and our D-line could be better than their O-line, we had a chance to win a lot of games. And I learned that from him, and I'm very fortunate. I feel like to be able to have spent the first 13 years of my career with Coach Reed and learn from him, and him take the time to watch tape with me and explain to me why he was doing things. You know, I would definitely not be in this position if it wasn't from him, and that's where it started.
Going back to the period where you left the organization and then came back, what did you do during that time away, and what was different, if anything, about you when you came back in terms of your philosophy and the way you went about things?
Yeah, I think you know, my career was such that I was a really young GM when I became a GM in 2010. I was 34 years old, and I was spending so much time trying to climb the ladder and get to that spot that I hadn't really had a time to reflect on things. And that year allowed me to kind of take a step back, think about the things that I was doing wrong, the things that I wanted to do differently if I ever got a shot again, obviously not knowing it was going to be here or anywhere, and being able to spend time with a lot of really smart people in sports that I could really spend the time with. I spent a couple of days with all these places, basketball GMs, baseball GMs, soccer league GMs, then CFOs of Fortune 500 companies, and just getting the opportunity to learn about how they thought about team building and get a big picture perspective. I mean, it was invaluable. It was unbelievable. And those are relationships I still rely on today.
What's the common thread? What's the common thread, you know, between all these different plateaus where people succeed?
Yeah, I think conviction. Yeah, you have to have a certain conviction about the things that you believe in. I mean, it's really important to have good people and to listen to good people, but you have to really trust your instincts, and you have to kind of go in the direction of that, and you have to be kind of obsessive about it. So I think all those guys, all the people I spent time with that have won championships or built championship team, they were very confident in the way they were going about it, and they didn't kind of deviate because someone said something different or it didn't sound right. And so I think when I came back, I was already kind of fired once, so I wasn't really worried about losing my job anymore. And that gives you kind of a freedom to do things that you think are right without worrying about the ramifications, or just trying to kind of win 10 games and make the playoffs, and everyone gets another year on their contract. Now, you know, I feel like all the people who work for our organization, they trust that I'm going to be here so they can keep their jobs. So I take that responsibility. So I don't want to do anything that's crazy, but I felt like it was just, I don't think, again, like I talk about Coach Reed, I talk about Jeffrey. If I didn't take that year, I don't think that I would have the opportunity to be in the position that I'm in today.
But when you get to the point...
One time. Yeah.
Personality. How much of that was what you were drafting versus the ability, and where is it now?
Well, again, you don't go into the draft and say, I'm going to get this player. You don't know what anyone else is thinking. And I think it just worked out that way, that we were in position to draft really good players from a Georgia defense. And when you really look, because 8 of our 11 defensive players are different from 2022, 7 of them are draft picks. These Georgia guys had chemistry. And it really helped that you don't have all these guys from different schools who don't have relationships. They already had that created, obviously a historical great defense. And it just kind of worked out that they were able to play together. Us, losing to Kobe's a huge loss for our football team. And, he's such a great leader. And I think he really kept it, at the second line of defense, his ability to really kind of deal with the back end guys and the front end guys. But they've been such a huge part, and because they played together, I think that there's a chemistry that developed quicker than maybe it would have if you drafted guys from different schools.
Can you talk about your cap philosophy? I know Stephen Jones did one day the Eagles have to pay the piper. Can you talk about how you manage the cap? Will you have to pay the piper one day?
Well, I think for us, everything we do isn't just for 1 year. We're trying to manage our team in the short term and also the long term. That's why you see we're playing a lot more younger players, our draft picks. I think from our perspective, we understand that there are going to be difficult decisions to make every off season, but we want to compete every year. We got a lot of young players on this football team. We think that they're in the prime of their careers, and we can continue to build while also having those guys. I haven't thought about a doomsday strategy. I don't really want to be part of a doomsday strategy. So we'll just continue to try to get better and continue to try to bring in talent. That's our job. It's every year we have to bring in young talent, young, good talent. When we stop doing that, we're going to be in trouble.
But what do you...
Some teams will have like a fundamental position, like a draft and develop sort of stance. Do you do that, or is every year different and it has to be different parts of the equation, how you approach it based on where the team is?
Yeah, I think you look back, we drafted Cam Jurgens in the second round. We had an all-pro center, maybe the best center of all time starting, and he was going to have to be a backup. The defensive tackles we drafted Jordan Davis when we had Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox. So, I think for us, we're always looking to draft and develop. We're always looking to re-sign our guys. I think when we look at the off-season, the start, we re-signed Landon Dickerson. We re-signed Jordan Mailata. We re-signed A.J. Brown. We re-signed Devontae Smith. It starts with our own guys. And when the guys know that if we draft them and they develop and they do the right things, that they can stay here, I think it's an important message.